In last week's video, we were looking at my professional work from 2015 to 2021. Today, we're looking at my projects from 2021 on, so they're going to be a lot more rough and a lot less complete. This is a 10-unit apartment building. Here you see the property lines and the buildable space after accounting for setbacks. This is the ramp to get you into the underground garage. Here you're seeing circulation in the form of hallways, and here you're seeing an elevator core and stairs. You see 3 of the units at this end, 3 more 1-story units on this end, and the 4 units towards the center are spread over 2 stories. A couple weeks after meeting with this client, I built this model by hand out of chipboard. I had started a Revit model, which you see here. I believe the client is currently developing this project with a different architect. Now, this project had landed on my desk in 2021. I was already working on a super custom accessory dwelling unit. I was offered a teaching job, which was my dream job, which I did for about a year. So I didn't end up actually sending the proposal for this project. I didn't want to spread myself too thin because this was going to be a serious time commitment, but I still plan to chip away at the Revit model in case a similar project lands by my desk again. Next, we have this accessory dwelling unit that went through a bunch of iterations. It began as a project that was inspired by the Golden Palace in Japan. So it was lifted up on columns, and it had volumes stacked within each other with pitched roofs, and it was spanning above the existing pool. But the design ended up changing quite a bit. It was later redesigned to be on 1 story and fit next to the pool. So in some ways, it's more similar to this model that happened when I just placed the Golden Palace here, even though it is at a different scale. The side that's super close to the property line has less windows. The side that faces the pool and the backyard has a grid of windows to flood the interior with natural light, and it has some ornament embedded to match the style of the existing house. The grid starts to disintegrate as we get into more private spaces like bedrooms and restrooms. This is the entry into the accessory dwelling unit inspired by the main house. This is the view from the other side. I haven't done physical models showing the breakdown of the interior spaces, but I've done axonometric drawings of them. In yellow, we see the living, dining, kitchen. In orange, we see the hallway. Dark gray is bedrooms, the lighter gray is restrooms and closets, and that really light gray is washer and dryer. These are the drawings done to obtain the necessary approvals and for the engineer to structure the building off of and for the contractor to build off of. These were done in Revit. The ADU that I had done before had more complex geometry, so the software I used for that one was Rhino. This next project is a competition entry. I was experimenting with infrastructural urban systems that meander to create walkable patterns of inhabitation and urban food gardens. Of course, these are experiments in progress. Long, continuous arterials, symbols of the vehicle of high-speed transportation, remain subterranean and overhead, but they're planned for. You can see the straight lines going through at angles, and the surface plane becomes fully pedestrian. The building forms emerge out of the urban patterns. So here I'm experimenting with the idea of using the ancient tool of nature, of mathematics and art, the fractal, to achieve infinite possibilities of delightful strolls to reach a destination, while encouraging human interaction. We have a fractal when the same geometry represents itself at many different scales. Whether you really zoom in or really zoom out or look in between, you're going to see the same type of geometry. The quantum world behaves differently from the world that we experience through our senses. We've known that light can act as a particle because we have observed it. But light does other things when you take the camera away. The double slit experiment showed us that light can act as a wave. We know where the particle starts. Where it ends is less predictable. Between these 2 locations, it moves freely as a wave. The interferences between particles are embraced and expressed as the projected destination. What would a ground plane look like if it allowed pedestrians to act as both particles and waves? This is where the fractals and the delightful strolls come in. Vehicle, subterranean. Ground surface, fully pedestrian. The high-speed machine has occupied planes above and below. Like all cities with underground subway stations, the actor enters one slit and exits another. Ebenezer Howard's Garden City, which was circulating in the year 1900, embraced multiple centers or downtowns. However, the diagram still implies a centralized model. In 1800, before the car was invented, Thomas Jefferson designed this checkerboard pattern city that explored a more localized environment. Nolli's plan of Rome displays how arterials bend or terminate to create manageable fields of view rather than infinite planes that disappear into the horizon. These are early form-finding studies. This is an aerial view of what I chose as my site, 29 Palms, California. It's an integrated plan in development utilizing both defined centers and implied centers to infill currently uninhabited areas of 29 Palms. Zooming into the fabric reveals that there are sub-arterials creating an infinite realm of hierarchies. Some areas embody live-work through ground floor commercial and living above. Standalone single-family dwellings are also integrated into the model, with some office-like accommodations for live-work opportunities. Imagine food production and the collection of renewable energy being embedded into the design and the experience of the city. Honoring the digital revolution, the office tower is not around in the double-slit city. The tall structures are sculptural markers to help inhabitants define place and direction. The geometric substance of the city is to be protected and expanded upon by individual building design. It is only to be broken upon rare occasions in the environment by great works of architecture. The next project is a proposal for Tartu, Estonia. It's a downtown cultural center I was calling Tartu Village. For a successful downtown cultural center, the design of the void is as important as the design of the structure. In Tartu Village, the spaces are arranged to create multiple public and semi-private gathering opportunities between the Tartu Public Library and the Tartu Art Museum. The piece of land that directly connects to the river is currently unprogrammed, as we opted to find the greatest piece of land and not build there, but to keep it as park space. The required built and void spaces are fully contained across the street. The structural system is of concrete, and while the higher levels seem somewhat monolithic at times, the ground level incorporates colonnades, angles, and material changes and breaks down the volumes to the human scale for the inhabitant and the passerby. The thermal mass of concrete tends to absorb heat during the day and radiate it out at night, making it the ideal material both for Tartu's moderately cold winters and its moderately warm summers. As well as adding further elements to break down the mass, control joints are used to guide cracks within the concrete and expansion joints to allow for more substantial shifting and settling of the structure that may take place. Mechanical, electrical, and plumbing systems are incorporated into the plenum space, and their fixtures are displayed at the ceilings to express Estonian patterns, with decorative elements between them to help the patterns read more evidently. The glass is low emissivity, limiting unwanted leakage of heat into or out of the space. At the ground level, the concrete flooring, designed with native Estonian patterns, is permeable to allow stormwater to drain through. Also, the ground level utilizes mulch from local tree bark. Local plant species like pincushion, peperomia, grass, and water features both minimize the heat island effect and create pleasant public spaces to inhabit. In October of 2023, I joined NextGen Vision, a design-build firm. I think it's either part of or collaborates with another company called NextGen Consulting. We do a lot of additions, a lot of junior ADUs, a lot of ADUs, a lot of houses. They've developed a real body of work and the body of knowledge of local authority having jurisdictions and relationships with plan check engineers, with local building and safety departments, and plan checkers with local planning and zoning departments. We're going to look at one more project and then we're going to wrap this up here. It's a detached ADU or accessory dwelling unit. So it's a garage conversion plus an addition. And I just want to stress this point that the plan check process is there for our benefit. Construction was pretty much done and they got busted. They were doing it illegally. I'm working on legalizing it. I had no idea about this project. They hired me after the fact of getting caught by their authority having jurisdiction. It was partly built within the site setback, and it'll have to be carefully sawed to keep the parts within the buildable area intact. And then 2 separate engineers saw the property and confirmed that the project is not up to industry standards when it comes to the handling of lateral forces. It wasn't built with adequate shear walls. Thankfully, our engineer has a workaround. We're going to put in a strong wall. Apparently, the owners hired the contractor and had him build the thing before any drawings or calculations were done. I'm also hearing that their local authority having jurisdiction has a tendency of doubling all permit fees for illegally built projects that are in the process of being legalized. Moral of the story, while doing things appropriately the first time by going through the proper channels might seem wasteful in the short term, it does save time and money in the long run. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Subscribe if you haven't already. The button is on your screen. Check out the Architect's Mixtape if you're a hip-hop head. Check out my Mnemonic Device series if you're taking the Architect registration exam. Check out my design process videos if you're in the process of designing. Check out my portfolio at hovsepyan.com. And I'll see you very soon in the next video.